Consumer New Zealand is once again inviting Kiwis to nominate the most disappointing products, services and businesses in its annual Yeah, Nah Awards. They aim to spotlight companies that have let consumers down, whether through misleading marketing, poor value or frustrating service. As Acting Head of Research and Advocacy, Jessica Walker puts it, the awards offer a chance for people to get those grievances off their chests and hold businesses accountable for their actions. Past winners have included Creamstyle Corn, Westpac Life Insurance, our old mates here in New Zealand that we've just spent the last hour talking about, and even compostable dog poo bags, something I know a bit about because of my dog. Well, they weren't. We're going to get to that a little later on. Now, this year, Consumer New Zealand has noted a rise in issues like manipulative marketing tactics, including deceptive free trials that are hard to cancel and mistake marketing. So there is a bit to get into. So joining me now is the Acting Head of Research and Advocacy for Consumer New Zealand. Hello, Jessica again.
Hello, hopefully you're hearing me in real time.
In real time. It's like, I don't know, it was like in the old days when you'd ring overseas and we'd be like, hello, hello, hello. But there you are.
Makes for a painful conversation.
Oh, I absolutely love these awards, but they're not just about having a moan. It's more about calling for better standards from businesses. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. As somebody said to me last week, I can't remember who or in what context, that Consumer New Zealand are the country's biggest whingers, and I'm not sure that that's an accolade that we want. So, of course, we see our role as calling what we call kind of bad behaviour to account, but also it's just encouraging people to expect and demand better, because we shouldn't be putting up with shoddy services, products that don't work, being missold things. And the example you gave before is coming through more and more. You know, you sign up to a subscription and for the life of you, you can't get out of it. That's not okay. And there are protections in place for us, but a lot of people don't know about them. So this annual event is something that, A, allows us to call out the bad behaviour, but B, helps us to communicate with people to tell them what their rights are. And hopefully just give people the confidence to speak up and feel empowered to exercise their consumer rights.
Now, I want to go through some of the winners last year with you, but before that, you've claimed that Kiwi consumers, we put up with a lot, like shrinkflation, greenwashing, overpricing.
Yeah.
Are we an easy target, Jess, or is this a worldwide problem?
Well,
do you think?
We actually we stole the idea from Australia. So they have something called the shonkies that's been going about 20 years, and they're calling out businesses in the same way that we're now doing for this bad behaviour or products that don't do what a consumer would want them to do. But I do think, New Zealanders, generally speaking, that they're not big fans of complaining, not always up for conflict. And so I think that, we all strive for fairness, but I think a lot of us will let things go, whereas in other countries, people might be a little bit more forthright, demand a resolution on the spot. And I don't think that's, in my experience, that's not generally the New Zealand way.
You touched on it before, Jess, and I actually talked about this a couple of days ago from my experience about signing up to something and then struggling to get out of the subscription or not even knowing that they've cancelled it or they haven't cancelled it, and you end up still paying until you really, really, really have to push them. Is this becoming quite a common thing, I'm thinking?
Massively, and this is a problem on two fronts really. So last year we put some advice out around, free trials are great. It gives you the opportunity to try something. It should supposedly be on a risk-free basis. If you don't like it, it's not costing you anything. But we know that a lot of the time you're having to give some personal details, maybe even your credit or debit card information. And then if you don't cancel it, then that will just auto-renew and keep going. So we put some information out last year saying to people, when you sign up, if you get a week or a monthly free trial, just put a note in your diary or calendar so that when your free trial is up, you go on and cancel it straight away. And a lot of people were doing that, but we are now hearing from people, including people in our own team, who, when it comes to cancel, just can't find how.
Yes.
And, these sometimes it takes hours and hours and it should not be that hard.
No.
And so either people just let it go because they think, oh, it's only $10 or $15 a month. But that's not fair, because that's literally money for nothing. But the other thing is people might assume, as you've said, that their subscription has been cancelled because they think it has. People aren't checking their bank statements or going on apps frequently. And so you could be paying hundreds of dollars potentially for a service you're not receiving and not know it's happening. So that's another problem. And so, we really encourage people to keep an eye on their bank transactions. Don't assume that just because something has been cancelled that it actually has been cancelled.
Oh, Jess. Oh, gosh, it's like you. This is what I talked about on Monday, actually, because it happened to me over the weekend where I thought I'd cancelled. Well, I had cancelled a subscription in November, and then I was one of those, and lazy person, don't check my statements all the time because I don't really use my Visa a lot except for Uber, and that's about it, and the odd purchase. So, I didn't check it, and I just happened to check it in the weekend. Lo and behold, I'm still paying subscription to this company of $24 a month, which I've been paying since November. And then I had here's the thing, Jess. They use bots now, right? So you had unsubscribe or something, and a bot pops up, and then a thing drops down, and you've got to go, I wish to stop or I wish to unsubscribe, and then they finally get a real person because you can see the bubbles, and then they're like, oh, can I help you? And you're like, yeah, I'd like to unsubscribe, and then they still try and keep you by offering you a better deal. And this is what I don't like, because hang on, I've been paying all this money for all these years, but now I want to pull out. You're giving me a cheaper rate.
Yeah.
So I go to pull. What's that called?
That's the dark pattern. So that is called confirm shaming. So they're trying to stop you from leaving, and then they're giving you a little, something that makes you want to stay. And
confirm
that's annoying,
shaming.
isn't it? Because why can't you offer us that in the first place?
Yes.
And it's just there's more barriers to stop you from leaving the business. I was confirmed is not okay.
Shamed. And then when I made it clear that I didn't want it, this person said, all right then, but you have to pay for this month. It'll stop on the end of this month. Which again, it's like, really? Okay, well, okay, I'll let that go. But there's no paper trail to say that it had been cancelled. And this is why I'll nominate them. It's New Zealand Herald. Anyway, what's mistake marketing?
So there was a flurry of this earlier in the year where there were a couple of well-known products, and they were putting things out in their social media saying we're discontinuing this product. And people were up in arms. Oh, I love this product, rushing to buy it, stocking up. And then they say, oh, no, it was a mistake, or because of unprecedented demand, we're going to keep it. So all of these pressure tactics that make you go out and buy something that you wouldn't ordinarily buy, or perhaps there'd be a sign saying, stock clearance, last chance to buy, these kind of things that make you part with your hard-earned money, and it's all lies. And it can be really hard to know. That's the other thing. We trust the information that's fed to us. So if you are, we'll call it tricked into making a purchase, and then you later find out actually it wasn't the last chance to buy, then tell us about that. That's the kind of thing we want to know.
I see a lot of closing down sale ads, we're closing down. This is your last chance to get so-and-so. So I don't know if that's true or not. Can we talk, this is a good one. Can we talk Creamstyle corn, Jess, because one would not think that would make a list or make the year NARS, but what happened with cream corn?
So this was one that came from our research team, actually. So we're always looking at different products and services, but with Creamstyle corn, we were looking at home brand products, and we were comparing that with brands. And Creamstyle corn was one of the things on our list that our team looked at 5 or 6 different brands of Creamstyle corn, and I think most people would expect that the thing you're going to find most of in the can would be corn. And with the one that won our award for Less Isn't More, it had, I think it was 48% corn, and the rest was things like water and sugar and salt and thickener. So, home brand products can be great for a bargain. And there were other home brand products that definitely had more corn in the tin, but we thought that was a really shocking example of the kind of thing that we're putting up with all the time. So just paying for something that you're getting less of. And with our info box, where people can complain to us about things that they're seeing on shelves all the time, we're getting so many complaints about shrinkflation. So this week
Yes.
especially, we've had a flurry of complaints about marmalade. So people
Oh,
are rightly annoyed that they're paying the same price or more for the marmalade than they were a year ago, but they're getting significantly less. The jar is shrunk.
oh,
And that's upsetting people,
of course.
understandably, because, times are
Understandably.
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I like this one because with that cream style corn, it won the less isn't more award. And,
Yeah.
if it contained less than half of it was corn, I mean, that is shocking.
Yeah.
So there are, of course, different categories. I just mentioned that one. Who took out, I love this, who took out the Polished Turd Award last year?